Hello, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kimberly Hickman. I'm a mom of two, and in school, I'm out of work right now because coronavirus. Excuse me. I hope everyone is having a great experience in this class. So, for this week, I read Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Excuse me. The 6 basic fantasy motifs outlined in our book. This book, I feel like, covered all of them, so that was really awesome. There's magic performed by the other mother, and all throughout the book, mostly it was coming from her. There are other worlds. The other world was through the door that Coraline went, and the other world that the other mother created for Coraline to have her perfect place. It also included good versus evil. Coraline, the black cat, they were good. There were things in this book that I feel like were a little of both. So like the mice, they wanted to help Coraline, but the mice but then they were spying on her at the same time for the other mother. I also found that the other father genuinely wanted to be a good person and help Coraline, but he was overpowered by the magic of the other mother, which made him evil. Obviously, evil was the other mother. She just created obstacle after obstacle to try to keep Coraline in her world. The heroism, I believe that Coraline obviously is the hero, but the cat as well. He was Coraline's little sidekick throughout the whole thing, trying to be helpful, but not quite too helpful. But then in the end, he was used as a tool to attack the other mother so that everyone can be free of her. The special character types were the other mother and obviously the other world. So that's not something that would normally be in our world, obviously. Fantastic objects were very much the stone with the hole that was able to help Coraline through the entire process of trying to find the marbles with the spirits of the children. The other things that I found as fantastic objects were obviously the marbles that contained the spirit, the snow globe of her parents, and the button eyes. So that was a really standout thing where once you have the button eyes, you're part of the other world. For I believe Coraline can be classified as a gothic horror. It has a very eerie feeling throughout. There are lots of dark places, places that lead to nowhere, kind of like when she went off of the edge of the created world. She just was in nowhere land, and I think that's a little scary. The corridor, the whole creepy feeling of having a mirror image of what you live in is really weird. The other part, let's see, the other world is really happy at first and everything Coraline wanted, but once she started resisting and challenging the other mother, it began to become this dark place with terrifying things, and I think that makes it really eerie as well. Coraline is a young and innocent heroine. Before she before she went to the other world, she was just very oblivious and kind of caught in her own ways, like she wanted everything to be about her, and even though she understood work and stuff like that, she still wanted her parents to like spend time with her nonstop. Coraline contains monsters, villains. The other mother obviously was the huge villain and monster in this story, but also everyone that she controls was partially villain and monster, even though some of them were trying to help her. That still makes them bad if they were against her. There were several taboo moments. One example that came to mind was when the other mother was just eating bugs like they were snacks. She was just like chatting along like she was watching a movie and just popping these little bugs in her mouth like they were popcorn. So that was the most, well, not the most, but the one that I recall most vividly. The other mother created a world for that she thought Coraline would want, and I believe that the land that, or the world that was created for Coraline was all about her and what she would, want in a perfect world is like everything to revolve around you, basically. Like when you were hungry, you want something you like to eat. When you're bored, you want somebody to stop and play games with you or go on an adventure with you. She has very valid wants, and she just wanted some adventure. So I feel like her wishes were very valid, but she had that grounding to know enough that when you get everything you want, it's not really that fun either. Like, you haven't worked for it, you haven't wanted for it, longing for it. That's part of the experience, and I think that she was able to realize that before she got in too deep into the other world. That way she wasn't turned into a other Coraline, I guess. I think she does represent the typical heroine in children's literature. She was brave when she didn't think she could be, or braver than she thought. She sticks to her plan. She's very adaptable, so she was good at thinking on her feet, which was good. She stuck to her morals. Like, she knew her family, even though it wasn't as perfect as she wanted, it was something that she still wanted, even though it wasn't perfect. She also, I feel like in most stories, the hero has to like depend on someone else, even though they don't know them. And that person in this case, I believe, was the black cat. She had to really put her faith in the black cat without even knowing things like his name. So I think that was part of the heroine story. I think the other mother was compared to a spider a lot because she, well, one, kind of turned into this monster figure once she was faced with the resilience, but also that she basically set this trap. Like, she weaved this web perfectly to suck Coraline in and get her trapped there with them. Just like she did the other people. She like glorified the theater for the ladies, and she sold the father on how perfect it would be to have this perfect daughter and this perfect life. This was a whole like created web to trap things in, and I think that was kind of what they were going for with that spider analogy. All throughout this book, I found it interesting how names were displayed. There were some people like Coraline whose name was very prevalent. Like, she always corrected the neighbors. She always corrected people on that her name was Coraline and not Caroline. But then there were other people or other characters like the Black Cat, who was always just referred to as the Black Cat. There was never a name to go along with it. So I feel like it was kind of made to be like names aren't important, but maybe the lack of names is important. Just your character is important. You don't necessarily have to have a name. So I was a little confused by this throughout the whole book when they were doing the name swap stuff, and I don't know, that's just what I took from it, is maybe names aren't as important as we make them out to be. It's just who you are. Coraline is always exploring the flat. She's always exploring the grounds around the flat, and I think she's doing this to expand her mind because she's bored, but she also is looking for adventure, and she finds different like aspects in each room or each place she visits, and with each adventure she realizes she's like more than she was before. So every time she adventured out farther, she realized she was braver than she was before. Or like in her actual room, she found the toys like boring and everything wasn't quite the way she wanted it. But then in her other world room, the toys were more interactive, but they were a little creepy. So I don't know, I feel like as she explored rooms, we found out more about her, and in turn, I'm sure she found out more about herself. Thank you. I hope you all have a great week.